He let him know, you're no friend of mine. And who are you? I've got a red button too, and mine works. Where are you from, Sage?
Well, that's a very difficult question.
Good. Then,
my dad was in the military.
right.
So I'm an
So
Army
all
kid.
over the place.
Yeah, like pick a place.
Yeah, great.
I probably live there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Great.
but I currently live in Connecticut.
Who was the most influential in your life?
Both of my parents in different ways.
Yeah.
But they have been married. This October is 53 years.
Good.
And interracial couple.
Mm-hmm.
Mom's white, Irish Italian. Dad's black. 1970, getting married 71. Like that's
pretty cool.
Yeah, for anyone to push through for that long, much less back with the interracial marriage and the civil rights era. So they're my people, John. They are my everything. And I have 3 kids, and they're pretty cool too. But as far as influential, you know.
And who's your husband?
I don't have one. Overrated. No, I'm kidding.
What did you say?
Overrated completely. We could talk about this part.
What's going on here?
No, I was married for 2 days shy of 20 years, but together for 27 years. My whole 20 to 47, I was married.
Wow.
I was together.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah, and no, so we'll see. Hopefully
you have
someday.
3 good kids?
I have 3. They're 22, 20, and 18. So they're all in college as of August. They're the best.
Right.
They're the best. They're my, they're the why behind it, right?
Yeah.
They're my why.
Sure.
Yeah. So
actually,
look at the picture right behind you. That was in Greece a year ago. Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna grab it.
Yeah, you can grab it.
Closer.
He's about
the kids.
Right? Listen, you don't have to do this. Have you heard about my
words.
little obsession? You don't have to do this, but this is what I do when I'm on the couch. I wear fuzzy socks. Do you want some?
Oh, good. That's smart.
Do you want some?
I mean, it's not a problem.
You can.
No.
This is so you. Isn't that great? You take it to one of the grandkids.
I'll be downstairs in case you need me. Okay. No, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, no.
Let it be.
This is a unique one. No one has taken me.
That's it. This is our next show. We're going to do a show together, and this is one of the characters.
Yes.
From
Megalopolis and Reagan to the.
Hey guys, how you doing? Oh, just fine. Now, how are you? I'm fuzzy.
You're showing your other side. People haven't seen this side lately. Thank you. Okay. Jon Voight, I can't believe I get to meet you. I can't believe you said yes to this interview. How much are they paying you?
I made a mistake. I didn't.
You took a wrong turn.
Somebody said something to me. I said yes. I didn't know what I was saying.
You took a wrong turn
listen,
and you end up with me.
The nicest thing about you should know, of course you know this, everybody loves you.
No. Me? You're talking about like humans, not me in particular?
You.
Us.
Yeah, no, you.
No.
Everybody says, hey, she's the greatest. She's blah, 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 blah. So
you talked like
maybe I was talking to your children.
I was going to say you talked to my mother, right?
I talked to your mother.
Because otherwise, it's like, Sage, stay away.
No, that's not true. So everybody, well, it's since we're in a situation where there's a lot of nonsense going on.
Yes.
There are a lot of people who don't know what quality is, and
they don't. I feel like they don't want to know.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've been programmed. I mean, these people have been attacked with propaganda, and they've been victims of it. So
absolutely,
it's a tough thing. I mean, propaganda is real. You see, they've put a focus on that, scientifically to try to figure out how you change a person's mind. This is the KGB and many other operatives throughout the country, throughout the world, and. It's been successful, unfortunately, in this country, as you could have seen. When you get these kids that are in college and they don't know, they know nothing about our country. Mm-hmm. They know nothing about World War II, let's say, or any of the important moments in our history.
There's no appreciation.
There's no appreciation for who we are, and they're given a lot of lies about other things So when this eruption happened after October 7th, it's completely shocking. But ignorance is a runway for all sorts of bad behavior. So, and that's what's happened.
I feel like it
We've
happened.
dumbed down the kids.
We have dumbed down the kids. I feel like it happened very quickly because my generation,
pretty quickly, yeah.
compared to my kids' generation. So my kids are, I told you, 18, 20, and 22, college-age kids.
Yeah.
There's a huge difference from when I was in college 30 years ago compared to today.
Yeah.
Don't you think that's
there's
a fast...
reasons. I mean, it's not only the KGB, which started in, in the 60s, it kind of erupted and showed itself. But it's been going on for a long time before that. And then afterward, all these kids that, all these people that went into college as professors and stuff like that came from a very left place. And then they had other people coming in, like right now we have a whole bunch of people, billionaires, who are carrying things on, and they didn't come from a pure place of communism, but they're carrying the ball for communism.
Why do you think that is?
Well, because it's selfish. If you look at many of these people that we're talking about, the one common denominator is there's atheism. People don't believe in anything. So they only believe in their own self-preservation and their power search, and they protect that. And then once they commit to that, they're in with a club and they stay there and they don't look back. That's what, I don't know what the heck it is exactly, but I that's what I sense. I mean, look what's happening in our industry. And by the way, there's a congressional record, 1963, that presented all of the agenda of the KGB. And it was very clear. They wanted to create division in our country with sex, with gender, with race. And they wanted to take God out of the schools, take over the universities, take over the press, take over Hollywood. That's what they had planned. And their techniques for it are explained too. And to attack the family. And so we know what it was. And it just happened. You can see they've accomplished it, and then there's the righteous folks who have fought for the good. And they, they're around. There are heroes around today. And we're in a battle.
We are in a true battle. And when I say why, I've asked many people that question. I ask myself that question all the time. Why? Why do people want to divide? What is the reason behind that? Because it doesn't make sense. You see the violence. You see it. You really saw it, I think, 4 or 5 years ago, once COVID and Black Lives Matter and George Floyd, all that happened. And then it was just like, it was a free-for-all.
Well, it's an interesting thing. Barack Obama was a community organizer, in quotes. That's what he called himself, and that's what his profession was. That's all he was prior to being in Congress and then president. Prior to running for the presidency, that's all he was. What is a community organizer? His mentor wrote a book called the Rules for Radicals.
Yes.
Saul Alinsky. Right? In the book, he says, he's teaching, the rules for the radicals. And he's teaching, he says, when people call you, when you're a community organizer and people call you an agitator, they're right. That's what you are. It's in the book. He said, what you do is you gather people, you get them inflamed with something, and you get them moving. And you can do anything you want with them after that.
Oh,
So that's it.
The goal, when your goal is to agitate, and then if you get people agitated enough, then you can control them.
That's right. Yeah.
That's what this all comes down to. And I think I go back to why?
So it's a technique. Well,
for people to have control.
Well, people don't like this country sometimes, you see. There are many people out there that would like to bring us down. There are people who are competing with this country, of course. And
but when it's people inside the country that want to bring it down, that's the sick part.
Yeah, that's the sick part.
And that's the part that I don't recognize. Now, it's one thing to go back to...
What do you mean when you say recognize?
Recognize, because in my lifetime, it's never been like this.
Good.
Ever. I had never felt as much division until, frankly, Barack Obama's presidency.
Yeah.
That's when it really seemed to change.
That's what he brought.
That's what he brought.
Because he's very good at it.
He's very good.
Very good at it, yeah. He takes advantage of anything, like the situation with this young man that, this 18-year-old kid that shot the policeman in Minneapolis, was it? Can't remember.
Recently?
No, this is...
back in the...
That's when the beginning of Black Lives Matter.
Okay. So you mean like 2020?
Hands up, don't shoot.
Oh, that was in Missouri.
Missouri, right.
Michael Brown, right? And Missouri, yes.
Yes, and his buddy, Michael Brown's buddy, said, hands up, don't shoot. No. And it was a lie. It was nonsense.
A complete lie.
Yeah. So...
That was the one where they said, what did they say? The media and everyone reported that he was attacking the police officer. They reported that he was running away, when in essence he was attacking the police officer, and the police officer shot to defend himself.
Right. Now that was taken advantage of.
Yes.
The statement of his father was, "I'm sorry, I let this kid go. He's been trouble, and I didn't stop him." And a couple of weeks later, after he had some meetings with Sharpton, I believe, he came out with this other thing: hands up, don't shoot. So that was the beginning of Black Lives Matter, and they burnt down that town. A lot of black businesses. I mean, it was like, but that's what happened, and then turning against the police. It seems to me that whole history is, that was, you can look at it and say that, that's the beginning. That's how they do it, you know?
No, I think the turning points when we look back now are pretty evident. That was one in particular, and of course, white cop, Michael Brown was black. The thing is, there are obviously instances where race is involved and the wrong decisions are made, whether it's by a police officer or by a CEO, right? That's called humanity. As long as there are human beings on this earth, there's going to be prejudices and racism. And when we say eradicate racism, it's great. That's the goal. Realistically, that will never happen, whether it's with race, with religion, culturally, that's never going to happen, even though that is the goal. I think most people believe that. But the problem is what? Is that when it's taken advantage of, it's the boy who cried wolf. And then when there are instances where that deserve our attention, we think it's all part of the BS. Because now they've ruined it for those cases that do deserve our attention.
Yeah, well, that's right. I think that's right. I mean, there's all sorts of different ways that people get off, right? People, the principles of our country are pretty terrific.
I think so.
And when you look at people attacking that, you know that they're doing it for the reason that they want to, create disharmony. And we've addressed those so many things, that we can go, that after the Civil War, I mean, look at what happened in the Civil War. We fought racism at that moment in time in our history. So many people died.
Yep.
And we set a standard for the rest of the world in that war. And the righteous man that was head of the country at that time, and the brave people, and all the people who entered into that conflict. There's so many lessons, and so much we can be proud of too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just look at the Gettysburg Address.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's pretty much says it, So, so anyway, if anybody wants to turn away from those wonderful examples in our history of what we have accomplished, they're looking to denigrate this country and friend of our principles.
Right. I think what has saddened me.
I know. Am I getting too heavy?
No. No. Guess what?
What am I doing here? It's because I didn't put on the socks.
I told you. I think people need these conversations today in particular. A few years ago, not as much, but I think now people realize we are at it's a turning point in American history.
Yeah.
And people are scared and people are confused. And it started, yes, 10 years ago, maybe. I mean, if you can ballpark, if we go back to how things were changing, we thought Barack Obama was going to bring everybody together. I did not vote for him, but I did feel once he was elected, I thought, okay, we're here. I love the fact that it was a Black president and that this country had come far enough to elect that. I just thought it was the wrong Black president for me. That's all. Just the wrong one. I just didn't believe in the things he believed in.
I agree.
And I didn't believe that he was genuine with the hope and change. I didn't. I thought it was a cute slogan and it worked and all the stickers on every, great. What change was created? What change has been created over the last 4 years with Joe Biden? Things that actually it's the wrong kind of change.
It's a kind of a continuation of Obama legacy, isn't it?
Right. So that's why I think these conversations are so important to have now. And I will tell you, trust is at an all-time low. I don't trust the system. So as Americans, what do we do when we don't even fully trust the election?
Well, we have a lot of people who are as concerned as we are. Really good people. I made a little comment, and what I said was, the people might bump into their. I said, you guys down there, and I know I've been to the conventions, and you probably have as well.
I've never been.
Oh well, it's quite amazing. Of course, you can imagine.
Yeah.
They just pack the people, this way against each other. And they're having a good time. They're out to have a good time.
Yeah.
And they're applauding all the things that they believe in, and they're, in the spirit of the whole thing. And I said, you're going to see some of your pals, and you're going to make some new friends, and maybe you'll rub shoulders. I think I use that with some of your heroes from this time in the Republican Party. And there are heroes out there. They're great people. I'm inspired by so many of them.
Like who?
Tom Fitton.
Who's Tom Fitton?
Tom Fitton, Judicial Watch.
Okay.
These people who are doing the hard work,
taking
on everything, reminding us of things continuously. There's a lot of heroes out there, and the people who are focused on getting these elections right.
Mm-hmm. What the RNC is doing with that has been fascinating to watch. Laura Trump spoke about that recently, and
I like her,
all
by
the attorneys.
Way. She's
sharp.
She's terrific.
She is sharp as a tack and smart.
Yeah.
And a mother with young children. I mean, what she's doing.
She's cool.
She's incredible.
Real.
And just being brought in.
One of the heroes.
She really is. Just being brought in March, 8 months before the election. I mean, that's a tall task to try to help bring people's confidence back with the electoral system, and to bring in. I mean, they've got hundreds of thousands of volunteers. I think she brought in 500 attorneys to be stationed at voting places around the country. I mean, how do you tell me, how do you instill that trust so quickly when I think no matter what, people question 2020?
Well, people are very, very concerned about that election.
Right. And she's doing all she can.
I mean, you could see it was so obvious, you know. What's the one of the most concerning things, of course, is this lack of law.
Right.
I mean, there's no rule of law anymore. You do what you want. If you can get away with it, you do it, you know?
They changed those voting laws.
So many terrible phrases like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're just tearing apart the thing that we count on. It makes
it's the one thing. That's the democracy.
It makes us safe
Yeah.
and makes us, you know, makes us trust.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, there's lots of work to be done. That's the point. And there are many people addressing it. And you say, can we take enough of this, you know, manipulation and cheating and whatever it is, however you call it, you see.
Why do you think people refused to acknowledge?
Because they opened the doors. I mean, in other words, they said, don't let this guy win again, period. I don't care what, you know, that's what happened. And I mean, who said that? I said, well, there are those people. You know who they are. I mean, Soros is one of them. And
Pelosi,
people,
I mean,
so yeah, there's a bunch.
They were pretty blatant about it.
Let it go.
I think, but that's why
every
we saw,
area, you know.
Yeah.
And you start bringing up these things, and people say, "No, you're lying," or this or that. Right,
no, but the videotape
right in front
evidence,
of all of us.
it was all right there. And to change the election, change those laws, 2 weeks before the election in 2020,
Yeah.
and it was just these sweeping changes.
Yeah.
I don't know. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, you know, I told you my history. I'm an Army brat, a proud Army brat. I love this country. I lived in other countries, and I really love this one. And yes, we are imperfect. But I've always said, may the best man or woman win. Just please keep it fair. I will support the commander-in-chief if it's done the right way. We've just never had to ask this before.
Yeah, and it's amazing how the press has been manipulated, and so many areas of our community are manipulated against the truth coming forth.
But I would rephrase that, maybe push back on that.
Good.
Because, well, no one forced them.
No one forced who?
The press to be manipulated. They chose it. Now, I guess there's money coming their way. There's all these ties. But this is a concerted effort by everyone at the top of all of these networks to report only one way. And, I mean, they all made that decision. CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, they all made the decision to only report certain things that fit their narrative.
Yeah.
Why? Why?
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Yeah, who's pulling the strings?
Why?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I know we've been attacked from within.
And I think that's the saddest part for me. What gives you hope that, let's say Donald Trump wins in November, that he can turn things around, make America great again?
Yeah. Well, okay, I'm going to say, you know, it's a good question, and there are good answers. The one obvious answer is he's done it before.
Mm-hmm.
He's done it. And he was attacked throughout his presidency. And look what he accomplished. I mean, the list is unbelievable.
To you, what's the most important part of what he accomplished?
Oh, my gosh. I mean, you know, well, right away, let's just talk about North Korea and the threat it was at that time. I mean, look at that. Mm-hmm. Who was going to handle that? This guy was out of control, and he was threatening with nuclear weapons. And we were all scared. Anybody who had any intelligence was really scared, knowing it's real. And he took it on. And I'll never forget the way he did it. He's a leader. This man's a leader. The way he did it, he said, first of all, he stood up in the United Nations, and he talked to him through the United Nations. And he called him Little Rocket Man. I mean, he let him know. He said, you're no friend of mine. And who are you? I've got a red button too.
Oh,
And mine works, he says to him. He's talking like that, right?
amazing.
Now he makes a gesture that they get together.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite amazing. I have to read his book. I never read his book, The Art of the Deal, but it must be pretty brilliant because, but whatever he lives by his intuition and his understanding of people's personalities. And right before he meets this fellow, he says to the press, he said, I will know within a minute if I can deal with him.
Ah.
He says that to the press, he's talking to the press. And then he walks in, says hello to the guy, right? So Kim Jong-un, and tells the press right away after the meeting, well, I can deal with him. We can make a friendship here. Wow.
Incredible.
And so he's a very special guy. And look at the economic deals he made with our neighbors, with Canada and with Mexico, and he got so many companies to come back and work in the United States and provide jobs for
Keeping
people
jobs
and stuff
here.
like that, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And the statistics are unbelievable for what he accomplished. And there's just so many things, and he got the border closed and operating properly. All the things that he did were simply the agenda for Joe Biden's presidency. Mm-hmm. Joe Biden took one thing after another. The pipeline that got
immediately the Keystone Pipeline,
independent, and energy independent.
Okay, why? Once again, why?
Why what?
Why shut that down? That's the first thing he did.
Well, because I don't know why he did it. You have to ask Joe.
He couldn't give me the answer anyway, if I did.
But
that's
what
the thing
he wanted to do,
about...
he wanted to take away any kind of credentials for this president. Do you see?
But that is the proof.
He wanted to erase it.
But that's proof
they
that
didn't
you're not...
see. They didn't see any of that as important.
GoodRanchers.com is the place to get 100% American meat for your summertime needs. So whether you're hosting a backyard barbecue, a pool party, a beach bonfire, whatever it is, Good Ranchers has you covered. In fact, right now you can save on Good Ranchers meat like never before. Subscribe to any Good Ranchers box now and get $100 off plus free smoked brats for an entire year. Yeah, it's more than just a great deal. It's a chance to celebrate America by supporting American family farms and enjoying the highest quality American meat. All you have to do is go to GoodRanchers.com and subscribe to any of their custom curated boxes filled with 100% American beef, chicken, pork, or wild-caught seafood. Use my code SAGE at checkout to get $100 off and free smoked brats for a year. I mean, if you need any other reason to support Good Ranchers, they're not only amazing partners of my show, they also support the paralyzed veterans of America, too. And as an Army brat, you know I'm all about that. Every order saves American farms and supports American veterans. Change the way you buy meat today at GoodRanchers.com with my code SAGE to claim your $100 off, plus your free brats for a year. GoodRanchers.com, American meat delivered.
You know what is interesting about this conversation is that we don't know each other. We haven't met before. And this is the way people talk.
Yes.
You see, I mean, this is the way people really, this is an insight. And say, well, what do conservatives talk about? Or people who are pro-Trump, which I am really. I feel he's the man, he, for many reasons. He has leadership quality. Whatever that is, he's a leader. And the leaders, the real leaders around the world know he's the leader.
They know.
You see, he has respect from everybody. And, so he can say, we should end this war in the Ukraine. It never should have happened. Mm-hmm. And I can end it before I get signed in as president of the United States in that couple of months in between. And then, somebody from Russia came out and said, it will take more than a day, they said, right? It will take more than a day. So at one point, I think he said, I can do it in a day. You know what I mean? He said something like that, right?
Yes.
It would take more than a day. But look what they said. it will take more than a day. It means it will take some time.
But
We can do it.
They're willing. Yes. Yes. Instead,
He's going to do it. Do you see?
yes. But
So
instead, we just sent how many more hundreds of billions of dollars over to Ukraine?
Well, they should have been sitting down. First of all, it never would have happened under Donald Trump because Russia would not do it under Trump. They knew he would respond. And
I don't
they
think
saw
America...
the weakness in the pulling out of Afghanistan was such a difficult... When I saw that, I know how many... the people who worked so hard for us were left behind.
Yes.
So many Americans who worked there were left behind. We've never done that. It was really painful to see that, and it was just clumsy and silly and
very costly.
And really, really costly. The weapons that we gave, it left there, in every way it was a disaster. Some of those weapons showed up on October 7th.
Absolutely.
Can
you give me
Israel?
Can you give me one thing that Joe Biden has done that you think has been good?
I don't think he's done very much that was good. When he spoke for Israel, and he was supposed to be a friend of Israel's, this was his reputation. He was. He really immediately turned around and has been, but just as he had all the people in office from the Obama administration, and those people are anti-Israel, and that's a shock, and so he turned around after that and just played that line that was anti-Israeli. And so he hasn't done anything that I can think of that was on the positive side.
I think they have, as all administrations
obviously, it must have been something that he did that was good. It must have been something.
Well, and I've honestly tried to dig there to find that.
I can't offhand think.
Well, because now you can look at inflation or you can look at employment, and it's like, well, when you took office, we're coming out of COVID, and so the bar is so low, right?
Well, that's right.
And so, maybe there's growth here or there. Either way, inflation is an absolute disaster. We're here in California where my smoothie at the grocery store is $3 more here than it is on the East Coast. And I'm like, wait, what's I don't understand. It's across the board. When you go to these stores and there's no baby formula on the shelves, no basic items, and there's true suffering, I think, that's going on right now, and I think that's what I want Americans to focus on, along with national security, along with the border, which is tied to security. But when people can't live their everyday lives, when they can't afford to live their everyday lives, we're going to be fine. I'm talking about everyone else, the average American and who is middle class.
It's very tough.
And so what would you tell them when they think about heading to the polls? Because there is still fear for people to say, yes, I'm supporting Donald Trump. That fear is still there for whatever reason.
Well, that's why the polls are so close. Because the people who support Donald Trump don't tell anybody. They don't want us to say. They know they'll be attacked by somebody. Right? Look, there's so much to say. We've been very candid.
Yeah.
And I really didn't want to get...
I know, we just started, I'm sorry.
You've just had an insight into what we really think about things, and that's a good thing. There's some honesty and for the viewership. But there's an awful lot of people. There's an awful lot of people in this country that know the value of Donald Trump and understand that all the things he did, he had to send the highest level of prosperity and peace across the world. That's what he did. Even if it's just that, never mind what he did with the Abraham Accords and all the things that he accomplished, and taking us out of bad deals and putting things, putting things right in this country. He fixed a lot of stuff.
You know,
So-
I spoke with Laura Trump recently, and she said something that I think we all knew, but it was interesting to hear her remind us. She said, you know, Donald Trump doesn't need to do this. He doesn't need
for
more
sure.
money. She said he's the first president to leave office with a lot less than when he took over office the
Right.
first time. And then certainly what's happened in the 3 or 4 years since then. This man, to me, you can love him, you can hate him. He loves his country. And that's his why, because there's no benefit. There's actually only bad things that have really happened to him since saying he was going to do this in 2015. And I think at the end of the day, if people realize, no, there's no gain. He loves this country.
You bet.
And we're trying to unite people once again.
Yeah.
To bring them back to what it once was. So if people can get all ticked off about the red MAGA hat, take away the fact that it's Donald Trump who created it, and those words, "Make America Great Again,"
Mm-hmm.
that hits me.
You bet.
That affects me. Again, maybe I'm biased because of my military background. What is so impressive, though, and I'm so grateful for you, because you're one of the few in this town, in Hollywood, who just says it. What was the turning point for you, though?
Well, one of the things is I was taken in the 60s when I was just beginning my career. I was wooed by the left, you know. So it was a lot of America is this and America is this, America, you know, and all the negative sides that they could put together. And then there was interesting stuff in the 60s, you know, these marches, they were all organized by the American Communist Party. And we knew it. I knew it. But can you imagine? This is what was going on. So it wasn't just that event. It was another much more subtle, much more dangerous attack on our country through the universities, as we talked about, and through our schools and the focus on Hollywood. And then, for me, what happened was Vietnam happened, and I was in the marches against the Vietnam War. And I was always trying to do the right thing, and I was, whatever. I was being influenced by certain people. And then I saw us pull out the way we pulled out of Vietnam in the 70s. And I saw what the people were suffering, and I saw these people in the South were, there was going to be a bloodbath. And that the lies that took place where they said, well, this line will not be violated, the North will stay. And
Right.
There's a parallel here that you'll stay in the North and the people will have the South, and that's the agreement. And if that's broken, then America will move in, right? Well, America didn't move in. Those guys were all over the South. And as soon as those planes took off with people falling from the wheels, these North Vietnamese took over and put people in camps and did all the sorts and murdered a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And these boat people tried to escape. And it was so tragic. And I remember Joan Baez took out an ad, a full-page ad. And she talked about this and said, this is not what it was supposed to be.
Mm.
This is a disaster. We're pulling out and leaving these people helpless and whatever it was. And there's so much bloodshed, and she gave the statistics and all. Joan Baez. And I read that and I said, that's right. She's absolutely right. You know, we've been told a lie. And from that point on, I started questioning, and I changed my thoughts on many issues, and slowly became what I've grown into.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And it took a while because so much information that you've been counting on, and so many people that you thought were smarter than you, and this
You
and that.
respect, and
They've started to show up, and the lights were turned on, and I started seeing things in a different way. So,
but it's one thing to believe things differently. It's another thing to speak up about them.
yeah.
What gave you the confidence, I guess, to speak what you believed without the fear of it
Well,
affecting?
there's a
prayer?
lot. There's a lot of things. Mostly, I would say the people I admire and the friendships I've made since, and all of that. And then there's just there's. I'm 85. Do I look 85?
You look amazing. Do you feel good?
Well,
You're going to Bulgaria
who I'm-
tomorrow. You travel.
Look at this, my company I'm keeping. But anyway, I'm 85 years old. But over the years, I've started looking at life quite differently. Life is quite short. And people who would say that would be very old people. They would say, "Life is short. Listen, Sonny, life is short." Whatever. And you'd say, "Oh, not for me, man.
Yes.
This life
Look at
me." And then remember, life's not going fast enough for me. When you're 8 years old, you want to be 19. You want to be one of those
Yes.
big guys. Stuff like that. And then if suddenly, you're starting to realize, you're starting to lose a little of this, a little of that, and you don't have too much time to do the things you think you need to do. And I'm trying to use the time I have in the best way I can.
Yeah.
And and a lot of it is from my spiritual aspect. I was somebody who came to an awareness that God is real, and that there are those angels or whatever. Everybody has a guardian angel, and these energies of truth are around us. And I want to be attendant to that truth. And I don't, and I want to do everything I can especially for the young people coming up. I want to do everything I can to provide them with the legacy of being born an American that I understand from my readings. I do a lot of reading, and I do a lot of examining, and what we've been given here through the principles of our founders. Our founders were extraordinary people. This was a blessing from God. I mean, we have on our money, we have "In God We Trust." Well, actually, that's it. In God we trust. That's the nation we are. We're the land of the free. We're a special group. We've been blessed, and with this blessing, we have to stand up and protect that blessing and be what our founders portrayed us to be. Do you see? And the founders and President Reagan, for instance, said, you're going to have to fight. Every generation is going to have to fight the battle for this great gift that we've been given. And it seems like we have to be vigilant continuously.
I think so, more than ever.
And now we're at a crisis point.
We are.
Yeah.
I love that you brought up your faith and spirituality. When did you realize that is the way that you really wanted to live?
Well, I've had some things happen to me in my life that, some people get very sick or something, do you see? And something happens. Something visits them, whatever it is. Well, I have had that kind of thing happen to my life, so that the truth has showed itself. I had very moving moments. So I know that we're being attended. When I talk about God in my videos, it's real for me. People can say what they want to about me, but I know what I'm talking about. The reason why, when people say you've got so much courage, John, it's not courage. What I'm doing is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I say I'm not. I said to, I was on the Huckabee show. He's a lovely man. What a good guy. And he asked me some questions. And I said, well, he said, because aren't you afraid of the people who are going to attack you and something? They said, well, those people, I have no respect for them. Why would I be concerned about what they think? You know? But I tell you, I do respect. I said, this one up here. And I don't want to make the wrong move. I've got fear of the Lord. I said, people talk about fear of the Lord. Well, fear of the Lord is something, it's respect for the Lord. You know what I mean? It's love. You don't want to, do anything to damage it. And we're fragile here. I can make mistakes. I got to watch it every step of the way. I've got to say, am I doing the right thing? But when I'm doing the right thing, I feel good. And I know it's, I'm happy. I'm a happy man. I'm a very positive, happy fellow. Because
you are. It was evident from the moment we met outside there.
Well, it was because I was looking at you.
Keep talking. Keep going. Thank you. You can stay as long as you want. Forget Bulgaria. No, but it goes back to how we began.
Yeah.
Where you said that's what's missing. Mm-hmm. And that people are choosing to not believe in anything. No God, no higher being, nothing.
It's something. Well, I know a lot of. I don't know anybody who atheists. There are a lot of atheists running around. You know what I mean? And when I see them, they're people I care about. But I know they don't have the ability to hold on to the truth of things.
Do you have conversations with them?
I do, but I listen. I'll talk to anybody. I'm open to anything like that, a conversation. But they're very programmed.
Right.
People are holding on to the lack of the untruths that they've digested. It's tough to wake up and change, dude. It's tough.
And I think where you are has a huge effect on that. And when you're in certain parts of the country, certain cities, it's easier to go along with what everyone else is saying.
Yeah,
safer.
People who
easier.
have learned to manipulate, to take care of, to take advantage of a system and stuff like that, know how vulnerable people are, and are attacking them in those areas. Yeah.
Is there an example that you can share? You said that you have experience with the reason why you have such a strong faith. Is there a turning point because I will share with you, and I won't, it's not about me, but I have
you don't have to listen to this.
Yes, you do. This is important. I have it. I'll share another day. I'll share privately, but I've 3 times specific examples when I knew that it was God holding on to me at some of my lowest points.
Right.
And I felt it, and it was indescribable. So for me, I know exactly when my faith went to another level.
Right.
Do you have a moment or two?
Well, I'll tell you, to be honest, I have to say that I was in bad behavior for some parts of my life. I didn't want to be, but I found myself in bad behavior. And that took a toll on me. And at the lowest point, as they say, you know what I mean, hit the bottom. then you get on your knees. And I had an experience where I was at the bottom, and it wasn't a cry. It was just something came out of me. I just said, "It's so difficult." So, like that. I didn't know what I was saying, and then I heard in my ear, this ear, "It's supposed to be difficult." What? Anyway, I told this once before, and that's why I'm able to say it again. The cat's out of the bag, you see. But I realized at that time the voice was a kindly voice, loving voice, strong. Clearly, it wasn't good news. It's supposed to be difficult, you know. But what it meant to me is that I was understood. Everything about me was known. And that meant everything. And it wasn't bad news for me. In other words, with all that I was, with my weakness, with my bad behavior, with whatever it was, that I was savable. Somebody cared.
Because he already knew
Everything.
all that had been done. I believe God hears our thoughts.
Oh, sure.
And for him to still come to you and say that.
Mm-hmm. In other words, it was a beginning. It's supposed to be difficult. In other words, you're on a journey. It's going to be difficult. So that was the turning point. And many things happened right after that. Because of and I was so happy. I was in a tough spot where nothing was going very well. And right away, I felt, alive and better and stronger. And I slept very well after that. And the next morning I got up. And I was playful and, what do you got for me today? So, anyway, that's something that happened to me.
How old were you?
Oh, I was about my late 30s, something like that. 40.
But you chose to listen. Some don't. Many don't. You choose to ignore that.
Well, you can, whatever it is, something happened. And so I know. So if I behave, if I lose an opportunity to be a good person, and the things that I feel very strongly about are the things we talked about, right? So this is a worldwide crisis, and this is and this man who's running for president on the Republican side is a true leader and a very good man, and has amazing instincts. He's got some connection. He's got some connection, and so. This is. I'm trying to help repair the damage and make a proper world for the children of today.
So one of your reasons for speaking up is because your faith has provided you the strength to be able to.
I would say that.
Do that for yourself, for others.
Absolutely.
It sounds like.
And when I talk about my faith, I talk about, look, I was raised Catholic, and. I have a great respect for all religions, for Judaism. I have a Bible in my car. I read it continuously, and I get information, And I didn't read it very much when I was, before it happened. Then I said, wait a minute, I'm going to start reading this and reading that. And and I have a great regard for the Hindu religions, the people who came from that area. Their legacy from Krishna, who was a king, by the way. Krishna was a king. So, he was an avatar, but he was a king. So he lived in the practical world, and said, and it's a wonderful story. And Christ, of course, I'm very Jesus is very close to me. So, I mean, I think all these religions are, they get off just like humans get off.
Yeah.
And they have to come back to their true roots and make amends for whatever damage they've caused, and just like a human, So.
But when we own that, when we own our mistakes, own what we've done wrong for whatever reason,
Right.
It's so powerful. Listen, I mean, you've been open about your personal life and the things that you did wrong back in the day. With faith, I think when our faith is at our strongest, we can forgive ourselves.
Yeah. Well, we're supposed to be able to do it. I mean,
were you able to do that?
God talks to you.
Were
all the
you
time,
able to
right?
do that with the way your second marriage ended, and divorce and disappointment, of course, with your daughter and your son, with infidelity, et cetera?
Yeah, that's a big responsibility.
Yeah.
When you leave someone like that, and the kids get hurt, and that's my biggest regret. That I didn't have the sense to stay with that marriage. Anyway, so.
Have you forgiven yourself for not having that sense at that time?
Well, I always tried to keep the family together, even through everything, But it's not possible to mend those hurts. They stick around. And so I've done the best I can. I mean, I love my kids, and that's why it hurts so much. I love my children. And Angie has 6 kids, and I love those kids too. I love all kids anyway. I love them. When I see little children, I'm happy to engage with them,
I do, and maybe this is my glass half full attitude in life in general, but I've seen it a million times with myself, with other people. From terrible situations can come good.
Yeah.
So from a terrible situation that you chose to stay in for too long, as you've said, what did you learn about you in that time that made you better for the last 40 years that we have seen as a father, as a human being?
Well, I just worked at it. But I worked at it I worked at it all the time. My intentions were always there, but now my my sights are better. I'm very clear. So anyway, I'm just working so that they can be proud of their father at one point, and feel good about themselves because of it,
You don't think they're proud of you?
Oh, I don't. I think in some ways they are. In some ways they're, But that's not important. Somewhat. But it's their happiness and their sense of truth. If they can arrive at certain things that will make them happy, that's the thing. With this life we have, we can use it well, and feel very good about the life that we've been given, that we've used it properly. And we're all learning here. Everybody's learning here.
Every day.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah, every day.
So, and there are great ones that come occasionally to give us direction, Certainly Jesus was one of the great ones that came, these avatars like Buddha and Krishna, Jesus, and great saints like St. Francis, and, and they're saints of all religions.
Yes.
And those monuments, those great ones, they're interacting with us too. We can call on them for help too. So we're not alone.
No, I would think that when you look at your daughter in particular and you see those 6 babies,
They're not babies anymore.
They're not. But then again, aren't we always? My kids are taller than me, and I'm like, you will always be my baby, and you will always answer to me, and you will always tell me.
Yeah. That's true. Because you always look at your children. You learn certain things at different times. At one point, I came to the understanding, this is my own thoughts, that my mother was dealing with me as if I was 14. That's when I kind of left home on my way to other things. So that's the way she always treated me. And it's great. It's wonderful,
14-year-old Johnny, right?
Well, it's like she's my mom was funny. She was tough. She was an athlete herself. My dad was a golf professional. And my dad had an accident when he was very young. He was one of the rising young golfers that showed a tremendous amount of talent. And then he had an accident. He was driving back with a bunch of people in the car. He wasn't driving, but one of his friends was driving, and they were hit by a car coming across the lane.
Oh.
And he had a back injury that prevented him from playing tournament golf the rest of his life. And he never complained.
Really?
Never.
Was he a man of faith?
He had his own faith. And that is an interesting example. He was a great guy. He was a great person. Very very moral character, very funny, very charming guy. But he was a great man. He didn't flaunt his faith. He was a Catholic, but he never went to Mass because it was uncomfortable for his back.
The kneeling.
Yeah.
I'm Catholic too, and there's a whole
thing. So, but my mother went to Mass every Sunday, and my father would. There was this show, the Bishop Fulton J. Sheen. I don't know if you ever. We should look him up.
Okay.
Bishop Fulton J. Sheen had a show on television, and what he would do would be half an hour. I don't know what it was, maybe half an hour, and he had a blackboard, and he had this place, a library where he was speaking from, and he was a bishop with all the robes, with and everything. And he had he was an Irish guy, Sheen, the most lovely voice, and so eloquent.
Wow.
And he would do little drawings to explain things. He would do drawings on this blackboard, and he was teaching all the time, And my father would watch him on Friday nights. It was on television. He'd watch Fulton J. Sheen,
Oh, wow.
And that was that was how he took care of his spiritual responsibilities.
Yes, and I like that. I think yes, in the Catholic Church, we're told you go to Mass, and when you're there, this is how you do. I personally like the structure, and I like that I can go anywhere in the world and walk in and feel at home and recognize the hymns and the incense and just to know what to do. But that's not for everybody, and I respect that. Yeah. I love that you were saying how your mother, always kept you as little 14. Yeah. So no matter what, Angie is 48. Is she 47, 48?
Yeah.
So she's a little younger than me. Listen, I'm 51. I'm still my parents' child. They're still like, hey, Sagey. So I feel like they'll always be your babies. So when you look at Angie and her, my goodness, all of her accomplishments, but as a mother, as a choice to be a mom multiple times, what makes her a great mom? What are you so proud of?
Well, Angie's, she loves her kids. And she did this wonderful thing very recent. She, when I see her with her children, she's always embracing them. She's always hugging them. And they hug her and they're all over. And she tries to follow through with each kid to help each kid in their unique needs and visions and their enthusiasms. And she did a good example is what she did with Vivian, who's 14 or 15 now. And Vivian read a book, The Outsiders. It's a kind of a classic book for young children, right? And she fell in love with the book, Vivian. And she heard that there was a show, a musical going to be done based on this book that was trying out in San Diego or close to San Diego. So she went down there. And apparently she went down there 4 times to see this show and came back and raved about it to her mom and said, you should get involved with this show because they may need some help and whatever it is, you know. So Angie went down with her. And Angie, they asked her to produce the show, come on as one of the producing team. And she did. And Vivian was part of the team.
Wow.
And they went to the show and they saw this about a year, I would guess, of tryout stuff, you know, and changing and making adjustments to the show. And Angie says that it was pretty good at the beginning. There wasn't very much changed. But I'm sure Angie, with her savvy, she's a great director.
Mm-hmm.
So she had something to help them with. But the kids, everybody said to me she was so great, you know, whatever. So she didn't, and then the director was the Julie Taymor's nephew or something.
Okay.
And that's quite a nice story, you know, that this relative of Julie Taymor who did The Lion King is now doing the show. So and Angie got along with her very well and was really just helpful, just trying to help in the last stages.
I love that she is, so
and
to your
Vivian,
point, Vivian wants something and Angie's going to make sure that Vivian gets to at least experience it and feel that.
So Vivian's right with her every day, every time they, you know, and Vivian became part of the team. So they finally wound up with Broadway, got great reviews, and won the Tony. Well, it's just a terrific story. And to think, you know, it's a good story about motherhood and, you know, the dreams of the child, you know. And this is, of course, Vivian's got this bug for our business, but it's not in the performance area as her grandfather and her mother. But it's in a kind of a production aspect. She just, you know, she has good taste, Vivian, and this is a big change for her in a certain thing, because Vivian was always the one who I identified as a person who was loved animals. Mm-hmm. She had 9 rabbits with, you know, broken legs and stuff like this. And she'd have them all around her and she'd touch, you know, the way she handled her. They were like part of her. Amazing. And she did it with the dogs that they have and stuff like that.
But she found.
And now she found this new interest, you know.
But for her to win a Tony, you talk about full circle. You won a Tony.
No, I didn't.
You didn't win a Tony.
This is the first Tony
the only one
that our family's ever won.
You have Academy Awards. You have everything.
I have everything. I didn't get a Tony.
Except the Tony? I cannot imagine how that must feel to see that and the way that it happened.
Well, it's very beautiful, really, really beautiful. Because I know Viv very well. She's such a sensitive, beautiful child. And that she's come into this realm of finding interest in storytelling and stuff, which is my love, you know.
Okay, see, so you might not go here, but I'm going to say this. Uh-oh, he's like, get me out. I hope and pray that in your quiet moments that you can give yourself a little bit of credit for that. Without Angie seeing you do that, your passion, how would she have known to provide the same thing for her daughter?
Well, I don't know. I mean, look, Angie's obviously taken a lot from me. Obviously. Her mom,
And her
taken a
mother.
lot from her mom, who went to Lee Strasberg, was a good actress and worked hard to give her the principles of acting. So she has a lot of influences in that area.
Both parents do.
Yeah.
And so despite how terrible that was for your entire family, with the way all of it and the marriage ended, et cetera, her father, you were there the entire time. You were there.
I tried to be. Yes,
Yes.
that's
And
true.
I just think that that is profound.
Well,
For now, look at how it's been passed on. And for her to,
well, don't put that big stuff on Vivian. You never can tell. She might find something else to do, maybe tennis.
and guess what? And guess what? She'll be supported, whatever she finds.
Yeah.
My point is, it doesn't even matter that it happens to be similar business.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's being a veterinarian or a teacher.
Well, you see, folks, this is a mother talking.
This is a mother, yes.
So it's a good mother talking.
I'm trying. And you know what? As mothers, we doubt ourselves. As fathers, we doubt ourselves, you know? All of our kids, and you have your son, James, all of our kids are so different. I'm scared to death that I'm screwing them up every day of their lives. But I know I do good things in there too. And when our heart is in the right place, Angelina Jolie's heart's in the right place. Your heart was and still is in the right place. I think that's how our kids end up hopefully being happy, making good decisions. And then, you know what? Maybe most importantly, wanting to be a parent to do the same thing someday for their children.
Yeah.
So I don't think that as parents, we probably give ourselves enough credit for the good. We beat ourselves up for the bad. But there's a lot of good.
I think you're right.
I can feel the emotion in you, and for pride, the pride that you have in all of them. Do you think they realize that?
I think they do, actually, because I drop off little notes to them, every once in a while.
Handwritten notes?
Yeah, little poems and drawings and stuff like that. So they have a whole bunch of them.
Oh, they keep them.
Each child.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So they have a record of my love for them.
How often do you get to see them?
Not recently, not very much, but because of COVID, that was a tough time. So because a couple of the kids had some problems, physically dangerous, they had some vulnerabilities to things, so they had to be protected. So anyway, but they know I'm there.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Just to know that if they need you, that you are there.
Yeah.
Yes. You are so busy. I don't understand. Listen, at 85, you are.
Got a lot of responsibilities.
You do so much. You do so much. Well, that's a choice.
Yeah.
Why do you choose to stay so busy? And let me just recap, because you have 2 films that are debuting in the States.
That card, that's just a famous card.
The famous card that I don't even read. But it's the transfer from here to here, and then I just remember it all.
I'm very impressed with you because, you have a wonderful brightness of personality and intelligence,
Thank you.
And you have a lot of experience too, really, because you've been in this business for a while, and you have many, many successes along the way.
Thank you.
So
this has been different. This has been very different, away from corporate media. And I'm so grateful for it, because to be able to have a conversation,
that's right.
not to report and anchor and all the things that I did that I loved, that was my dream, and I achieved that and then some. I wouldn't change a thing, even the chaos.
Yeah.
But this is important to me.
Yeah.
Because I want to learn about other people. It makes me better and more well-rounded, and to consider other people's opinions or feelings, experiences, so much more.
Yeah.
So this has been a huge blessing for people like you to say yes, to even want to come do it.
I didn't want to express myself so personally as I have, but I couldn't resist.
I'm pulling it out of you.
No, I mean, you're a delightful person to meet.
Thank you.
That's been Very nice talk.
My goal was not to make you
No, I know that.
personal.
I know that.
It's to get to know you, but I think that I'm.
Well, you're asking, in other words, we're people, we didn't have any conversation really before
nice to meet
sitting
you.
down. You
Where's
see?
the restroom, right?
Yeah. So it all happened because of that. We're finding out who each other is, and that's why we got into this real personal stuff.
Yeah.
So good.
Here's my belief, and I know we're going to wrap it up here in a minute. My belief is that the more comfortable we all are with sharing a little bit of that personal stuff, the more everybody benefits. I benefit because it feels good sometimes to let go and to share it. And then but then you realize you're not alone.
Yeah.
But then the beautiful part is that people watching realize they're not alone and say, oh my goodness.
Yeah, that's right.
If Jon Voight can be vulnerable about this, maybe I can with this, maybe I can get help here. Maybe I'm not going to beat myself up for the rest of my life for a decision 30 years ago. I mean, we give ourselves more grace when we realize, when we see others doing the same. That's why these conversations are important to me.
Yeah, there's a wonderful thing in the Bible where God talks about forgiveness. And he talks about it, he says, I forget it. I forget it. It's buried. It'll never cross something like that.
So if he forgets it.
That means you have to do it. You have to overcome whatever the problem is, and you have to make a statement toward the truth and proper behavior. And once you make amends and do that and have remorse and all that, done. It's over. Okay. That's what the Bible is saying. That's what God is saying in the Bible.
So shame on us if we don't listen to that.
Now he's saying, I forget it. It's gone. Isn't that a beautiful thing to say?
It is.
Well, that's
humbling to know that we are already forgiven. We're already forgiven.
Well, once we make that turn.
Which is a choice.
We have to make the turn, and we have to become that other person that we really are.
Mm-hmm. It's here. I think some people just don't want to touch it because it's uncomfortable. Yeah. It's uncomfortable to go deep on some of these things and to let it resurface. Yeah.
Well.
Okay, wait. Again, I need to give you this. I need everybody to know how busy you are, how busy you choose to be, because we have Megalopolis that's coming out. It was at the Cannes Film Festival. How was it received there? Because this is Francis Ford Coppola, 40 plus years in the making for this movie, right? And it was viewed in France, and then it's coming out in the States in September.
Right. Well, it's a movie that no one will ever have seen anything like it. Guarantee you. And it's an amazing vision, and I have a little part in it, and the other actors in it are quite stunning, really good, and
quite a cast.
So real interesting folks you put together, and it's going to come out in September, I think, something like that. Mm-hmm. But anyway. It was received very well, and it was a 10-minute ovation, standing ovation.
Really?
But it was for the film, but it was also for Francis, and just thanking him for all the work he's done in his life.
Reading about that and the dream that he's had for this for 40 years, and to come back to it, life took over in a big way for him. To come back to it and to put so much money of his own into it.
Yeah.
I mean, $120 million film.
Yeah, he's done that before. He's a risk taker. He does it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
He did it with Apocalypse Now.
Amazing.
But anyway, so that's coming out.
That's September, but then Reagan.
That's
coming out in August.
August 30th, I think, in theaters. And I think you can get, you can book theaters, you can bring a group tickets and stuff like that, you can get them very shortly.
Okay.
Maybe even now.
Okay.
You can get them. I think it's Reagan.com or something like
Okay.
that, right? And so people can purchase tickets for a party of, whatever. And it is a film that people will, especially of my age, who have passed through it. Of course, we know that very well. But it's great for people to see what a president has to go through, and all the responsibilities of the presidency, and all of the ups and downs, and how this man, this graceful man, this very strong man, accomplished his presidency. It's a very good time to recall this presidency at this moment in time, because it shows you what's required of a president, and you're looking at someone who did it quite well. So it's good, and it's a love story. Dennis and Penelope Ann Miller are just. The love story is very deeply moving.
Dennis Quaid, and then so he's Ronald Reagan, and
Penelope
then
Ann
Nancy.
Miller. Yeah, playing Ronald Reagan and Nancy.
And did you know Ronald Reagan well?
I didn't know him.
You
Never met him.
didn't?
Never
Really?
met him. No.
I thought you would have.
No, I wasn't. I wasn't in the same thought at that time. I was making the transition at that time, actually. So
from a distance, what did you think of him from a distance?
Well, I know a lot about him now. I've read some of his books. He was amazing.
No, but at the time when you were kind of transitioning and not on the side, what did you think of him from afar, even though you believed differently?
Well, I thought he was very charming.
Okay.
I thought he was very. He was very strong. Especially with communism. We were afraid at that time. Our country was in great fear of nuclear war, and Russia, the Soviet Union, taken over Russia, and the Soviet Union was very, he called it the evil empire at one point. He was tough with them, and indeed, they were a godless country at that point, right? And there were many, there were real fears. And he stepped up and he said, no, we don't back down to this. We don't play games with it. We win, they lose. He actually said that. He said, what's the deal? What did he say? We win, they lose.
Yeah. That's
all, because we're right, we're righteous, and the communism doesn't work. It's not the friend of the people. Look at how many people died of starvation. It's even incompetent. Communism has never worked anymore.
Never.
It's it brings nothing but despair to people. It's like, we're going to make all of you are going to dress the same. All of you are going to be, what? Who are you?
Yeah.
So you see this regimentation of everybody, and then you see anybody who's above, like the people who ran the farms were prosperous people, but they ran these huge farms that provided the food for everybody. Well, they took those people out, killed them, sent them into the gulags or whatever it was, and then stuck people in there that didn't know anything about farming.
Right.
And therefore, they starved millions of people that way. Can you imagine? And Mao Zedong did the same thing. Well, we have a job to do, folks.
I like the sound of that.
Yeah.
Yes. Listen, it was wonderful for me to hear you say yes to do this, to have this conversation. It's not an interview, it's a conversation. I think there's a big difference. And to have watched you for so many years, but then to go deeper and learn more. And from Broadway to TV to film, it's endless. It's endless what you've done for your career. And I don't know, I'm thinking about your 6 grandchildren. And,
me too.
And to know
That's all I'm thinking about.
But to know that
and
their grandfather cares.
Yeah.
About them a hell of a lot more than you care about the accomplishments and the awards and the career. Can I ask what?
It's appropriate.
Yes, but can I ask what you're most proud of?
Most proud of. Well, I just want to say my son James is going to direct me in a picture soon, and he's very interesting. He's doing a lot of stuff
That's
for human
amazing.
trafficking. That's where he's focused on.
Making a difference. Okay, so both of your kids have been committed to making a difference in the world for other people.
Mhm.
What does that say?
And Angie has done. I have to say, I really admired the work she did on behalf of refugees. The way she went to these various countries throughout the world, sometimes in dangerous places, which I didn't want her to do. But she's got some kind of courage, and that should be applauded.
Yes.
And she did, bring a lot of hope to people throughout the world and fought for them. She's a good fighter. With her association with the UN is an anti-Semitic group, and has been from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real problem. And the propaganda around the United Nations gets to the people who work for them. So Angie's been available to that, that stuff. But she's trying to watch herself, I think, in that way. I mean, she knows that there's
She's aware. Yeah.
something of a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, her work with the refugees is really great.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's while she was taking care of the kids, too, 6 kids.
6.
So it's a pretty amazing thing.
It is.
And Jamie is doing stuff with human trafficking. That's his thing. He really, he's very, very concerned about it, and he's a bit of an expert. Mm. And he's done a lot of work with people who are psychologists, and have made a great difference in protecting children. So that's his love. So, and then he's a good director. And he's directed me in one little thing that was very successful for him, but then he hasn't done it for a while, and we're going to do something very, very soon. So
now you must be so proud of him for that. And that's tough to, I imagine it's like, oh, it's my dad, I can direct my dad. Well, probably easier.
Well, he can.
Easier.
No, but he's great with me because he believes that I know what I'm doing. He listens to my
Sure.
My input.
But still has his own.
But he has his own.
Right.
And if he catches me going off, he'll tell me this or that. But he usually just likes what I'm doing. So he likes it. So that enthusiasm is catching, and it makes me better. It gives me confidence.
You avoided the question about what you're most proud of.
Well, I'll wait till I'm done.
Done with what?
I think what I'm most proud of any day that I do, that I know I'm doing the right thing, and I've done it right. That's what I'm proud of. When I do something and it's right. And I have people around that can let me know if I'm on the right track. So that's it. And that's one day after another. I'm just trying to do it right to the end, as much as I can get out of it, in this life, as much as I can do before I leave, because I'm concerned about my children and the children of the world. I want them to have hope, and I know that some of the things in the Bible, the Jewish, the Hebrew prophets, the ancient Hebrew prophets, are the first people that talked about a time of peace among men. Mm. It's a big deal, right?
Sure is.
Ancient Hebrew prophets, peace on earth. Mm-hmm. We say it at Christmas, peace on earth. Well, that came from the Hebrew prophets, you see? And it's stated, the prophets state, that there's going to be a time of peace.
Yes. So
that's what we should all be, on board for sure, right? Mm-hmm. But in order to do that, we have to face a lot of the a lot of the bad behavior and a lot of the we have to overcome the negative forces. We have
Yes.
to overcome the negative forces in ourselves, of course, and then across the world.
That means we
Yeah.
have to do the right thing.
Yeah. we have
And
to-
that goes back to your simple task for yourself every day.
that's right.
And deep down, I think we always know it. We know what the right thing is, but it's harder sometimes. I'm going to end on this. I know you have to go. We're going to wrap up, but you'll love it, I think. I say it whenever it applies, whether it's at work or at home with my kids, but the cadet prayer at West Point.
Oh, wow.
West Point.
Great. You're going to,
I'm going to recite it.
great. Great.
And my dad made me, he's a West Point graduate, and made
Right.
me memorize this. And this is what it comes down to. Help me to choose the harder right instead of the easier wrong, and to never be content with a half truth when the whole truth can be won.
Man, great. Isn't it wonderful? Like you look at the Girl Scouts oath or something like that. These things that it's there for everybody.
It's there.
Yeah.
And if we just listen, that's why I say the harder right.
That's fantastic.
It's
That's
the
a
best. When
fantastic
I was
prayer.
this big, I had to memorize it.
Wonder who wrote that prayer.
I'm wondering if it was Eisenhower or someone, associated.
It could be just
Someone at West Point.
I'd like to.
I'm going to ask
find
my
out,
dad.
Yeah.
I will get that information to you.
Yeah.
But when you think about the harder right instead of the easier wrong,
Yeah. Well, that's what we're facing right now.
it is.
Exactly.
But we can apply this, whether it's with where our country is, or as parents, or as neighbors.
Yes.
It-
Of course.
Literally makes everything so much
Every
easier
day.
if we think of it that way.
Yep.
And you're
Great.
doing it every day. God bless you. And thank you for sharing. Thank you so much.
Wonderful to know you.
I'm honored.
God bless.